Yes, you're watching NTV Sports. We are proudly powered by Guinness. Thank you so much for joining us and making a date every Monday from 10 p.m. all the way to midnight as we discuss whatever is happening in the world of sport, both locally and just sometimes we get to go international. So tonight, our focus does, rotate around Uganda's preparations for the Africa Cup of Nations 2027 that the country is supposed to co-host together with Kenya and Tanzania. And our guest is a man who is quite at the center of these preparations when it does come to all aspects of hosting such a huge tournament, from the stadiums to the accommodation facilities and everything else that is needed. Dr. Bernard Ogwel, the General Secretary of the National Council of Sports. Good to have you. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here. NTV they call it night sport night. Sport night.
Yes.
I think it is long overdue.
Yeah.
So it's my pleasure to have my long-term friends around. Welcome from
Morocco.
I am hosting. Of course, I can see that I'm now part of the big team.
Yes, you are.
My pleasure.
Good to see you. Where do we start? There is so much going on. There's so much going on because of the Africa Cup of Nations that Uganda will be co-hosting with Tanzania and Kenya. But what is the latest from your office?
Well, I first want to say that Uganda, as a country, is blessed to be among the countries set to host the upcoming AFCON competition. And that did not just come. We had opportunity to make our case, and we made some guarantees as a country that we shall be able to give the best. And since then, if I'm not mistaken, I think the announcement came, was it 27th of September, 2023? That was the good news. So we started our journey to plan, and the government made commitments, which I want to proudly say that all those guarantees that we made pledge of, we were trusted with the mandate and the funding to see them implemented. And when I talk about the areas of concern, you note we had deficit in our sports infrastructure, and therefore we had to take it head on. No wonder today we have already ticked some of our boxes. Oyima City Stadium, it's a done deal. And we are looking forward to Akiba Olympic Stadium, which is on track. And the roofing has started, for your information. And now the big one, Mandela National Stadium. I may not be the right person to talk about it, but I want to just say I was a witness of the signing of the contract, and what was publicly made clear to Ugandans is that government has money to see that Mandela National Stadium remodeling and upgrade works commences immediately. And that implies that as we talk now, the Uganda People Defense Forces Engineering Brigade are already on the ground to start phase 2. And they have been given only 12 months to deliver. The worry should not be on the time, because we had an ambitious, I sit in the management team for infrastructure, the sports infrastructure generally, as National Council of Sports. So what I'm privy to is that, yes, there was a very long list in our employer requirement that was designated for phase 2. But I note that the time left, they had to zero on the CAF requirements. The CAF requirements, because there are other things that would also come maybe in the mid-term or long term. So the ones which appear in the short term have been given first priority call, in line with the latest guidance of CAF, that you are aware CAF was here a week ago or two, and they provided guidance. So government was swift enough to pick interest in those particular areas to see that Uganda meets its obligation to have a national stadium with the capacity to host the AFCON. Of course, the issues should not now be Nelson Mandela so much. The issue should be about overall readiness.
Yeah.
Because having a stadium without other auxiliary services, definitely is a big question that should not just be left before answers are provided. So on the segment of infrastructure, that overview, as I've made, it's clear that we are on the right track. Even for the training facilities, you are aware we have already launched, and we are on track, and we hope within the next 6 months, these training facilities will be all ready. So the big question when you talk about the readiness, me, I don't look at Namboole only. I actually reflect back to the bigger picture of other auxiliary support services that are pertinent. Of course, I'm looking at hospitality areas, the convenience you would want to see in AFCON, like Mr. Good friend Clive was in Morocco. He enjoyed because transport was not a question, connectivity was not a question, and these are things we have to look into in the cities that will be hosting the games. But the other aspect is that what is happening elsewhere, because the Pamoja framework requires all the states, the 3 countries, to be at the same level. They must be able to respond to the needs of CAF. So as you measure Uganda's status, we need to give a reflection of what is happening out. So I can conveniently say that, yes, Uganda is on the right trajectory. The commitment of government, in my opinion, government has honored its commitments, provided the funding required, and there's no question. If you talk about the national team preparations, I think you can have a moment with our good friends in the football administration, FUFA. They will give you their strategic direction, and we're hopeful that by the time we reach that moment, Uganda will be extremely ready to give us the best performance.
Okay.
That's what I can say here for the beginning.
Okay.
Well, Doctor, of course, like you said, it's important to holistically look at Uganda's preparations and the region's preparations for the Africa Cup of Nations because it is not only one stadium, or it's not only the stadium that is required. So many things are required. But maybe why the issue of Mandela National Stadium gets people a little bit worried and skeptical about its readiness. It happens to be our main competition venue. Yes, we have Hoy Wednesday Stadium, but then Mandela National Stadium happens to be our main competition venue. With the Africa Cup of Nations expected to start in 13 months from now, and of course the UPDF has 1 month to put everything together. Should Namboole be going under the remodeling and stuff like that? Because according to the board chairman of National Council of Sports, and you were also at that meeting, he said one of the reasons why we are taking this direction was because we are bidding to be considered for at least the opening game or the final, to one of those 2 events, which is very important and also significant that we host one of those 2 games. But when you look at the time available for UPDF to put everything together, do you have the confidence that we will be able to meet that deadline?
Well, thank you. I may not commit to speak for Uganda People Defense Forces Engineering Department, but I can speak on the side of National Council of Sports and the ministry in terms of what we are supposed to provide. The funding that has been earmarked, I can commit that the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education and Sports highlighted that the funds are available. And therefore, we think when monies are available on time, then the contractor is duty-bound to implement the project. And the fact that they signed the agreement while knowing, I'm very aware that UPDF is a very organized institution. And from what they have done in first phase, people are doubting, people made reckless statements here and there. But at the end, we are smiling because our stadium was voted the best in the region for CHAN competition. And also, all Ugandans were excited to be in Namboole for CHAN. So that said, I will still reiterate that the government is committed and has provided the resources and all the support technically, administratively, is available. And by the way, we are not going to be sleeping between now until the 12 months elapse to see that that project is done. So it's not going to be business as usual, but it will be business unusual. So have that confidence.
Maybe just to add, Doctor, it's good to have these discussions now so that if we beat the deadline, we clap for ourselves, and if we don't, people know where things got jumped here and there. UPDF starts this refurbishment 6 months late. 6 months, because it was supposed to be after Chan immediately. But also let's maybe help viewers understand the scope of what is being fixed at Namboole. The dressing rooms that are across from the pavilion are all moving over this side. The VVIP has to be an extra section, which now is like 2-in-1. Then the seats are going to increase to about 45,000. New dressing rooms. So literally it's like you're getting whatever is on in those specific areas and taking it down or remodeling it, and then you have 12 months. CAF, you'll correct me, when they were around recently, they were talking of they expected everything to be ready by August this year. But now UPDF has been given 12 months. So if they were to finish everything in 12 months, we are talking March 2026. The tournament will be 3 months later. Mine is not to say, oh, we won't make it, but to perhaps reiterate that this is serious. This is serious, and whoever is involved needs to treat it that way, which also means UPDF, if they decided to work only during the day, they may not pull it off. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I don't want to give a defense, because if you had invited UPDF here, they would speak for themselves. But administratively, I want to say that CAF in their last inspection noted first the challenges of the time, and unlike in our original terms of reference for the remodeling and upgrade, we had in our scope of work a number of things outside even what CAF had recommended, because we wanted a complete stadium. This is a national stadium. It's not a regional stadium. So our ambition was to have the best in the second phase. But when CAF came and they said, no, we want to advise you not to demolish. They actually said demolishing the foundation and other things in an attempt to do the remodeling. So there are particular exceptions, I want to note, that were within the key, or basic, the requirements of CAF, that the boxes were ticked. And we asked UPDF, can you finish this task within? They said yes. And they were very convinced that if government give them the contract, of course they will move. The other issue I want to talk about is not that the work started on the day of signing the contract. There's been so many things going behind the scenes. There are so many assessments that has been done. And of course, you know, UPDF is supposed to also hire a design. This is the builder design, the design contract. Yeah. So there are a lot of things that has been already being done. And I tell you, technically, once you have all the instruments of work, building a house, just building a house from down to up, it may not be with a lot of time again in the modern way of building when you have those. So my confidence is that UPDF came in to support this cause for remodeling and upgrade of Nelson Mandela Stadium with the confidence. And they know this was a directive from the president. And it means that if we fail to have Nelson Mandela National Stadium ready, then what you mentioned.
Heads will roll.
Heads will roll. We are not ready for that. We are very, very...
At the signing of the MOU, I did have an honest discussion with Lieutenant Colonel. Yes, Lieutenant Colonel Engineer Peter Chidemuka. And of course, my concerns were the time frame available and if they will be able to finish the job. And of course, he was honest by saying that the job at hand is a tough one, but as the UPDF, as the engineering brigade, they are committed, first of all, to make sure they meet the deadline, but most importantly, not to abuse the trust of the people who have given them the contract. So that is the kind of commitment they are coming in. And when Doctor says that there is a lot of work that has probably been going on behind the scenes, it is like they knew they were going to get the contracts and they started work already. They would have loved to start on the work like Andrew said. Actually, it must have been in June, but then it couldn't be in June because the CHAN was coming in August. And then it was supposed to be immediately after August. Then around there, I think we had World Cup qualifiers, stuff like that.
So it should have been in October.
In October. So, but they feel like they will be able to deliver, and we just need to wait and see them delivering. And like we've said time and again, that this AFCON comes at a wrong time for us as a region or as a country when you're coming from an Africa Cup of Nations that is being hosted by Morocco, and all the standards are that high. But when you've been to the AFCONs in Cameroon and the AFCONs in Ivory Coast,
Gabon,
you have a lot of confidence that actually Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania are on the right trajectory to make sure that they pull this one off. We just need to make sure that we have all that is needed in place so that we don't disappoint those, especially the CAF president, Patrice Motsepe, who time and again speaks with a lot of confidence that East Africa will be ready to host the competition.
And maybe this is a question I should have started with, because Doctor, for us here, we will sit and poke holes into the preparations and speak about everything. But organizing or being in charge of preparations to host such a tournament, how much work is on your desk? Out of curiosity, how much work is on your desk now?
Wow. Well, there's a lot of work, I can admit, on my desk because, first of all, there are a lot of formalities and clearances that are required to be undertaken, including but not limited to assessments. And the various assessments, the geotechnical surveys are undertaken by Minister of Works and Transport, who are the consultant of all our projects for AFCON and CHAN. Now, I am in the middle to respond to all those issues, the reports, but also to ensure that the required funding and appraisals that are done are addressed, to seek for clearances for the contracts. Remember, all this must go through the processes that the government requires by law. The PPDA regulations require all contracts to be approved. Attorney General has to approve any payment above 200 million. Any procurement system of government must be cleared. Minister of Finance must confirm that money is available. All those combined require. And by the way, the assessment itself, even what we call BOQs, bill of quantities, for each of the components has to be ratified at the now Minister of Defense have to sign an agreement with us, and you find the legal team, the other side, the technical team has to review before all of this. So there's a lot of work. And for me, before I present this, I must also read all of them and understand that what I'm saying is aligned to the principles, to the regulations of government for building the contractual issues, and refer to the template and guidance provided by Honorable Attorney General. So definitely there are a lot of formalities to be undertaken, but for me, most of those have been done. By and large, what we are now waiting for was just to ensure that where the district local governments have offered land, like Oma Boma Ground, Masindi Stadium, Peche, the land titles are processed and transferred to National Council of Sports as required by law. Because the Minister of Finance has already provided this guidance. Before we invest and start construction work, these facilities must be in the name of National Council of Sports as a security measure. Now, for universities, we signed memorandum of agreement. And like for the case of Kyambogo, we have a 49-year lease with Kyambogo. While on the other hand, Makerere University, we have 10 years. Gulu University, we have all those amendments. So at the end of the tunnel,
Doctor, sorry to cut you short. The 40-year lease with Kyambogo University, does it also involve the cricket oval? Or
yes, yes, it was a joint one. Yes, involve cricket.
Not the facility the other side, just this.
It has the training facilities on one end. On the other side, we plan to put in international standard cricket oval and softball and baseball courts. Okay. And the other component is outside the AFCON project. So it's our own initiative as a custodian of government for sports infrastructure. And we had planned this before AFCON and CHAN. You need to know that there were serious plans of council before CHAN and AFCON came in. But because government had to look for the funds, and we have therefore prioritized the AFCON projects first, including Logogo redevelopment. Even Soma was in Uganda to negotiate with us for construction of Logogo. But when this came, government felt that they're a serious company, and they won the bid, and they constructed within the limited time. So definitely the prioritization, like you know, government may not have all the money. So the money available to us, which passed through the channels of cabinet and parliament, was enabled to enable us confirm that the new requirements of CAF can be met. So those other projects, which are very many, by the way, the regional stadiums we had planned to put in place, the training facilities were put in place, not even on the football. For example, the cricket I've talked about, the tennis courts, which we had planned to shift to Nakasero Primary School, because we're in the process of signing a memorandum of agreement with the KCCA. They've given us 10 schools of excellence. We want them to have the best training facility within the city, so the city can be able to host anything, whether football, tennis. Other sports like Itante golf course, we are projecting and we are hoping to get 5 billion to support, to have the best course in the city, that the golf people can come from many parts of the world. So these plans came earlier. So you would want to know the nature of work. On my desk, you can visit me tomorrow. I have a whole tray of things to do. So it is not the old National Council of Sport. This is a new mandate that we have to see that we deliver for government. So, and the government is committed to this. And I want to also say here, it will not end with these infrastructures. We have lined up regional stadium, which are set to develop. Kacheka, in Mbarara, we have the feasibility study is already done. The report is ready, only waiting for money. Mbale Stadium, you get me? Bugembe, we are coming in. So in the next 5 years, I can guarantee Uganda will be having. We have another, in Kabale, we plan to have the National High Altitude Training Center. Because Kabale, you know, the reasons are very clear. We have all these plans. And by the way, they are somewhere in our strategic development plan. I want to say here that we have an approved strategic development plan by National Planning Authority with the lances, which has all the details of infrastructural development we plan the next 5 years of government. You may want to note from the NRA manifesto what the President, His Excellency, has put there. There's a lot of areas he cited, and we are looking not less than 1 trillion to support. So when I combine those with what we are doing now, I can only say that the future is bright for the sport in this country.
I mean, for me...
I want to conclude by saying that if you look at even the planning itself, it's a very holistic one, because we are doing multi-purpose stadium development. We are not building football stadium for these events. We are building multi-purpose, where you have athletics, you have rugby, an international standard. You go to Hindu Arena. When we hosted a guest from Mozambique, who was part of the evaluation team for our bid for African Games, 2031, he made a comment about our indoor facility, saying it is one of the best he has seen in Africa. We should not talk about capacity, but the quality of work. So all these are available. So for indoor sport, they are not crying, they are happy. So when we finish Kibo Olympic Stadium, I would want to see that we use the cities. All the cities must have the best sports facilities in the next 10 years, we want all the cities in this country.
Please, Emaz, that's your cue to get in now.
So just to tickle you, that we are there moving in the right direction. So there's steady progress in our missions.
For me, about Namboole, I think one thing I wanted to mention is that Doctor and his people have delivered Hoima in record time, and maybe we have every reason to believe that Namboole would be the same. But you mentioned the facilities. Beyond the playing facilities, Namboole, Hoima, and the questions about accommodation in Hoima remains, and other things that will be required by CAF for us to host AFCON. How far is that, and how committed is government to make sure that, for example, you have the 5-star hotels that are required in the region of Hoima?
Firstly, I want to say that the aspect of other auxiliary support services for hosting AFCON is under the chair of the Committee for Infrastructure. And just around last week, we were able to, as the local organizing committee, receive a very serious strategy for across all the sectors that are aligned to what we call the hosting of the games, the football. That will be tabled soon to the higher authorities, what we call the interministerial meetings. But by and large, the His Excellency President had already directed the Right Honorable Prime Minister to coordinate the aspects of hotel that are required and mobilize the support for the same. I can confirm that this is on track, and under the Uganda Hotel Owner Association, there's already several meetings being undertaken. And now what is happening is that the government is coordinating, because for them, they say they don't want free money. They wanted soft loans with the manageable interest. So you may think it is difficult, but it's not difficult. But also, my last visit to Hoima particularly, a number of them have started already upgrading their hotels as they wait for the government support. If you go to Kabelega Resort, you'll find there's a big facility almost near completion. If you HB, Mika, they all have plans already, just planning to initiate. So we think in the list I have seen, even in Masindi, I've seen whether you have visited Masindi, there's a hotel there, say YK Museveni Hotel, for Balam. Is among the highlighted ones. So, I could count calls to 6 hotels that are due to be upgraded to 5-star or 4-star hotel within the next 6 months. Maybe we will be going there to do our inspection of them. But we are not sitting. We are not only looking at hotels, but we are also looking at the medical. If you look at the status of Hoima Hospital, Masindi, they need to all be upgraded. And government has committed in all these aspects. I can only confirm that the strategy for delivering AFCON in terms of the needs is being developed, and we hope within the next 1 or 2 weeks, all this will be approved. And our approach, among others, is interministerial approach, where, for example, issues to do with the refurbishment, upgrade for health services, Ministry of Health undertake that. The one which is responsible for the airport, Kabelega International Airport, lacked a terminal. In their plan, they already factored that, and they know what to come with it. So that one, Ministry of Works and Transport takes responsibility. So when it comes to infrastructure, National Council of Sports and the Ministry of Education and Sports take responsibility. So this is moving on. It's moving on, but we may not see it visible now, but there's a lot of work already being done. And I want to say here that the spokesperson for the local organizing committee will soon come up with a press release in as far as the AFCON. So I may not want to talk very authoritatively about it, because there's official position of the local organizing committee. I can only mention as a member, by the way, I'm chairman finance.
Yeah.
So I may touch here and here.
You hold a very important office.
I'm chairman finance, but here I'm speaking as general secretary of the Council of Sports.
To
give you the overview of on the side of government, because I'm required to provide information to the public.
Doctor, your account
to see
has been...
what government is doing for sports.
Doctor, maybe as we continue with the AFCON discussion, but not to just get this out of the way. Earlier on, you had talked about government's plan to have these different sports infrastructure across the country. And the question has time and again been asked on different forums. What is the plan? First of all, the facilities will be in place, but what is the plan to make sure that these facilities are maintained so that they don't turn into white elephants over time?
Well, I think that one I can say that as National Council of Sports, we have preferred, in line with the guidance of the President and our Senior Minister and the Board of Council, to solicit for the services of reputable sports management companies of high repute who can be able to do management, commercialization, and maintenance of these facilities. And we have already met quite a number of them in terms of fast tracking. And next week, I will be able to actually release a team for a benchmark study to get me the most experiential companies that would want to take on. And we have already got clearance from PPDA that have guided us on the methodology of how we should procure them. We have done that. What I was telling you, the paperwork, we have already done these consultations. And now we know where we are going. So our target is that by end of this month, we should be able, for the case of Oyema City Stadium, we should be able to contract a company of high repute to manage, do commercialization, and maintenance. So on the side of government, our ambition is that it's not about sports only. The region where Oyema City Stadium is a very blessed region. It's a whole region on one end. We have our national parks there, almost 2 in 1. The synergies that hosting AFCON will bring should support the ecosystem of our local economy within the sub-region. And we want, therefore, a company who has the understanding when they are talking about sport tourists can come, but also go out there to enjoy what is in our parks and appreciate the beauty of our country. So this is the approach as we look at money. And the second aspect is we also need the companies that have experience of doing what we are anticipating to do in this kind of arrangement. So, but even when you go to Oyema right now, we have companies who are doing landscaping, maintenance of the pitches, cleanliness of the place. The place is well kept. But that is not what we want. We want the one who will make us money, enrich and do branding. Tomorrow we want Uganda to be the destination for hosting most of the continental competitions, world championships, because we have it here. We have the facility. So that's why after the completion of the project, we are looking at certifications that World Rugby can bring us their international competitions here. World Athletics can bring us, CAF and FIFA can bring us competitions. All the other sports, that is the other aspect. So when somebody is now being brought on board, he has the leeway to negotiate, to lobby, together with our National Sports Federation associations, which we are soon going to communicate to them formally when we get the certifications, to now start bidding. See, bidding is done by the respective National Sports Federation associations. But the government gives guarantees, like National Council of Sport has to provide guarantees to any of these federations, that the government will be committed to support the hosting of the event. So, but we encourage them to do so. So our ambition, therefore, is to make money. Government will want to recoup the money we have invested. $130 million is a lot more. But we know in the next couple of years, and this is provided in our feasibility report, which was a basis for government to say, yes, we shall give you the money. We want to see money recouped and also the trickle-down effect of the sport development provide us with the benefits that we have been praying for years.
Okay. And Doctor, now that you hinted on rugby, you must have enjoyed the action at Chadondo, did you? Over the
Well, it was very exciting, although I came with a biased mind that Pirate was just coming to finish the battle. But it was a shocker that the heavens started from the word go, and I could see some dangers, which really I could see Pirates was left helpless because so it was a very good contest. But to me, that is one of the developments I want to see in all sport, that you cannot easily predict that club is going to win and all that. There are sports, you know, this one has already won. I don't want to see sports in Uganda like that. So I want to thank the Uganda Rugby Union for ensuring the clubs have that kind of, sporting competence that you will determine who wins the last whistle. Of course, I was excited as a rugby person. I love rugby.
Yeah.
I was among the people while I was at university.
You love sports.
To encourage
the
University Rugby League. It was me among the people. And I still believe that we can do something in that regard. And Ugandans are very good players in rugby.
Yeah. And also Uganda hosted the Rugby Africa AFCON here.
And government supported with 7.1 billion, courtesy of what we want to see the next future of this country.
Okay.
So it's not about football, as you always want to say, we're giving football a lot of money. No. We are balancing. Even netball, we took them to I know you're a lady, we took them to Glasgow, where they qualified for Commonwealth. Yeah. They beat everybody.
Yeah.
So athletics, the world champions we have in this country. So I'm very excited with what's happening in sports, on the pitch and off the pitch. But the most important is how government has come fully behind the Ministry of Education and Sports to provide the funding and the leadership that embraces this. So we can now knock the door any angle and it's open for us. Okay. Yes, and I can tell you, I am in my comfortable seat.
Okay.
And of course, before...
Emanzi, we have a break in the offing, but Doctor is still here. Is still here, so the discussion goes on and on and on and on. But just to remind you that we have 2 poll questions that are up on our social media platforms. Please feel free to head over there and share your thoughts. One is about Namboole and the CAF deadline. The other is about comments from the Liverpool manager, Anslot. The hashtag to use is NTV Sport Night. So do remember also that we are proudly powered by Guinness. There you have it on your screen. The very first poll question, Namboole versus the CAF clock. And we're saying, can it beat the AFCON deadline? The other one being about Anslot and his comments about how he doesn't enjoy football anymore because the focus has largely been on set pieces. Please feel free to share your thoughts. The hashtag to use is NTV Sport Nights. We are in for a very short break. When we do return, the conversation with Dr. Bernard Ogwel, the General Secretary of the National Council of Sports, will go on. We're proudly brought to you by Guinness. All right, welcome back. You're still watching NTV Sport Nights. Thank you so very much for staying with us. We do not take your company for granted. We're still here with Dr. Bernard Ogwel, the General Secretary of the National Council of Sports, still taking stock of Uganda's preparations ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations 2027 that is going to be co-hosted by the 3 East African countries, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. Emanzi, I made it a point to remember that you were going to say something just before the break, before we disrupt you. So please go on.
I think I was going to say that of course, Doctor comes from different sports disciplines. He played football, and I think I've very often highlighted that he was a vice president in 2 federations at the same time.
Very true. Football and basketball.
Yeah, football and basketball.
But also university sport. I was a member of the executive committee. So I was in 3 sports at the top level at one time. And also sports tutor of a university.
Yes. And,
you can see.
So I think he's done... He's one of those who have gone through maybe all levels in sports administration. Yeah. And now at the very top.
No, I was also a referee. And also a coach.
You are everything.
Many things.
You are many things in football, in sports. But I wanted to highlight that and bring it to you that when you look at these federations, because as government, with all this injection of money and bringing up facilities and all that, it has to get to a level where government knows that sports can actually generate income not just for Ugandans, but it can also contribute to money that the country can use at the end of the day, because every time you have teams traveling out of the country, that is government spending money. Yeah. But if you were to look at events coming to Uganda and Uganda benefiting financially, I think that's a conversation that will definitely interest government. So when you go back to these federations who are the people running the different sports disciplines, how ready are they for what is coming? I mean, you project that what is coming is very big, but how prepared are the people at the base? Because the federations are in charge of the different sports disciplines. Are you carrying them along as Uganda moves to that next step?
Yeah, that's a very good question. First of all, the new legal regime we are working with, I think, as level ground, one, to set a very clear direction for federations, how they should operate, and also empower the National Council of Sports to enforce these regulations and the law. And what I can say is that, particularly the National Sports Act 2023, there are very clear roles of federations, but also National Council of Sports mandate. But we were able to develop statutory instruments, the National Sports regulations, that would enable us to register federations afresh and also set standards that we feel will enable good governance, will promote sport development, and also reorganize the structure of sports, how it is run and managed in the country. Now, this due process, we are already in the tail end. This process started last year on 20th March 2025, when the Honourable Minister, Peter Ogwel, Minister of State for Sports, released the instrument to us. Now, federations, most of them were already very much worried that they will not meet the requirement. So we gave them opportunity to apply, and for your information, out of the 51 you knew, only 37 responded in terms of the application's requirement. The others failed to submit. Now, I want to say that the requirement of registration for federations require them to meet certain standards, and also, more importantly, require them to demonstrate in character that they're a national sports federation or an association. Therefore, the spread of the sport is supposed to be measured in terms of the threshold, the 75% for federations, but also for associations, 50% national coverage. But also there are areas for governance that require them to submit certain documents. Now you find in all of this, but also in the Constitution, for you to be elected the president of a federation, the delegate to elect you must at least be from 50% of the districts of Uganda. Now, even there for the leadership itself, for you to have that mandate. So this required review of the legal instrument for federation, what you call the statutes, the constitution, to be aligned. But also it has governance areas. For example, requires every federation to appoint an accounting officer, must have a fully paid secretariat. In the past, I want to remind you that the National Sports Act 1964, the statutory instrument to personalize it came into force in 2014, but was only activated in 2016. 50 years after the law was in place. So it was very difficult for National Council of Sports and the government to actually enforce. And federations enjoyed the moment because there was no pressure. But also maybe government was not providing the required resources. Now the standard we are setting therefore for accountability required federations to have fully paid professionals to manage the resources of government. Because I can tell you, as somebody who has been at the helm for some time now, the biggest problem National Council of Sports is facing is in the area of lack of accountability from the federations, submitted on time. And you may ask that when they don't submit accountability, the resultant effect is that the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development will declare that the vote has failed to account for government money, and the accounting officer is reprimanded. But you find in all records, it's 100% federations. They account. So we don't want those challenges, because now it affects the human resource of the institution of government, but also the government and Minister of Finance cannot have the latitude to continuously trust you with the additional resources. Yeah. So our vision of improving the resource cash flow for federations, also it affects us. With our ambition, we want federations to be self-sustaining. We want them to have adequate funding to carry out talent identification and development, do governance, support the national team to participate, and all that and all that. So this framework, the legal framework and its regime, which we are enforcing, in my opinion, is one of the best things to happen. And that's why the ground is not the way it was. And perhaps some have given up. Like I mentioned, some federations gave up, they could not apply because they knew they could not meet the threshold on their own. Number two, the law also requires people to object, because we gazetted these federations who finally applied in the papers. We gazetted. Now, the law allows you to make an objection if you think that this federation should not be allowed to register, for the obvious reason that they have not met certain parameters within the statutes, maybe the governance, the constitution, and all that, many things. So, like, we have 8 of such federations who have objections, and therefore, we cannot allow them to proceed with the process of registration. The law allows them to appeal to the minister. And the obvious, I can tell you, their chances are not there unless they get back to the basics to implement. So besides the worries you have, we are in the era of streamlining and reorganizing federations. On one end, but ensuring that they meet the certain basic requirement. Secondly, we have not stopped funding yet. We can only stop funding now in the new dispensation. So they have access to the funds to still enable them. But we want a better platform, because our strategy, among others, if we are to do talent identification and development, we want federation and associations to have a clear structure of talent identification and development in line with our strategy, where we also know money given to them will be helping government to address that at school level, in the community, and others. So these frameworks are available. Now, in terms of high development aspirations, we have a plan. And this plan, we share with them. We said, align, when you are writing to them for funding of government, we tell them, align your budget needs to the strategic direction of government for TID, infrastructure, good governance, and this and the rest. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of wake up going on. And in my opinion, yeah, it may not be very easy for many. But on one end, we plan that once this is done, we'll do capacity building. Because in the past, I won't tell you all here, we have been organizing capacity building with a view of strengthening governance, accountability, reporting. But I organized a 2-day, Federation Sen has people who are not accountants. They don't have any aspect, any training in accounting for government money. And you send an expert from Minister of Finance, Accountant General, the Minister of Education, to come and induct them. It's like you are inducting a cow to dance, which you know practically will be very difficult. Yeah. It will take time if a cow is to dance. You need to do a lot of manyaga. Yeah. In other words, I'm saying the caliber of people could not be the right choices to be inducted to perform a task in terms of streamlining administration, accountability, improve. So at the end of the tunnel, we want to observe those as part of the area of we must streamline. But it starts with putting a clear structure, reorganizing the constitution. Some presidents have declared themselves left presidents. So as we move along, we shall also put time limits, and we're thinking about it. So that also, Cliff Chaze can also aspire in the future if he wants to. Since he has moved all over Africa, he can be a very good somebody. Anyway, just a joke on that. But the issue is, some people have made it now like it is a family business.
Yeah.
For a federation, for an association, you cannot. For a country like Uganda, those eras are past. And I can tell you, the next course of action for such federations will be very hard for them to survive. They may survive for now, for a few moments, but not for long. Because government is now serious with sports. And I can tell you, today I had a very good meeting with the Permanent Secretary, the Minister of Finance, Plan and Economic Development, and I could see his emphasis point, among others, stressing to see that sports contribute to national development. They now look at sport in a different way, not the other way, where you are aware we had issues. Sport is consumptive, is not productive. The judgment has moved beyond that. So this is some of the things that makes me excited to be a Ugandan, but also to be an administrator for sports in this country. So in my opinion, those are the takeaways that I think if the sports administrators in this country embrace that dream, they will support government to do better.
Okay, Doctor, thank you for your submissions. I have 4 areas I want to address. Hopefully you'll note them. I'll summarize them at the end. The very first one, you talked about the strategic plan that you have coming all the way from the ministry to NCS, which you've shared with me when I've come to your office. Now, having been around for some time, strategic planning is not Uganda's biggest problem. The biggest problem is actually taking action on the plan. About 10 years ago, I did a national tour. I was checking out stadiums that were once stadiums but have since gone away, or golf courses, name it. And I had the chance to look at the different plans for the regions. Kacheka, Lira, Buhinga, name it. And those plans were there. I'm happy that now you are putting it more on record and you're coming through. But for someone who has been around for the last 10 years, those plans actually are not new. They've been there. They've been in every manifesto, especially the regional stadiums. But the problem has been them coming to life. So that's something to note. Perhaps on your end, it's actually now see that they come to life, as we are seeing already. Some are coming to life. That's one. 2, Hoima. 2 things in Hoima. We visited, thank you for the opportunity you gave us to go to Hoima. We went to Hoima, and to be honest with you, I was amazed by the beauty of the facility. Very amazed. I think
beauty and quality.
And quality, yes.
I would be happy to hear.
And we had fun there. I left that place proud of being a Ugandan. At that facility, because we had a chance, the constructors, literally after the show, we stayed there. We left at 2:30 a.m. I'm
told you didn't want to leave.
Oh yeah. It's that beautiful because we checked out everything. However, a week back, some information came that, for me who was there, I was a bit disturbed. Information about, yes, it's a beautiful facility, but there are some things that fell short, not in terms of quality, but in terms of size and measurement.
I will clarify.
Fantastic.
Right,
size and measurement. And those undertones, I was disappointed. I'm like, okay, how did they let this happen up until this point? Especially that this stadium was being constructed for an event that we all know. Maybe you can give us an update on that, because since then, there are hushed tones of now we are only focusing on Namboole. So where do we stand exactly after the CAF inspectors came through with Hoima, and what is the real truth, and what needs to be done to meet whatever they said? So those are 2. 3, the issue of the hotel as well, 5-star hotels in Hoima, is an issue that perhaps we are not taking very seriously as a country, because if we know what next with Namboole and the resources are there, but up to now we do not know exactly what's going to happen with the hospitality in Hoima. It's a bit of a concern, especially given that we have just a year. And by a year, we mean to the time of the event, but we don't have up to the time of the event. So clearly, where do we stand as a country in terms of the 5-star? Finally, the first was largely about the strategic plan.
I'm going to comment.
Fantastic. So the
final, I'm a lecturer.
Thank you.
So I've got to take a note of your point.
The final one is, again, we are happy we got a new act that addressed some of the issues. But recently, sometime last year, there came an issue of registering academies, national academies, which is being pushed, of course, by NCS and FUFA. And the issue that came through from the people who are in charge of academies is the academies are paying. Of course, yeah, you pay to register, but the question was, what's there that we can see ahead as a plan for us from NCS so that we pay this knowing we'll get something? When a federation registers, they know they'll have a budget, they'll have money, funding from government. But there's some uncertainty with academies when they register what they get, but also rather than, because most of them are private entities, private arrangements. There's nothing like structured institutional academy. Most of them are coming out of people's passion. But now the same people who are struggling to make ends meet, bring kids together to play the game, you're asking them to play because at NCS, they register, they pay, then they also pay for the license, and then they pay every year to renew. What's the plan for them to show that if we do this, we are going to benefit from this? That's the national academies, rather soccer academies.
Well, thank you. Maybe I start from the last one.
Yeah.
First of all, the law empowers the federations to take responsibility, to set standards for the academies, but also be able to clear them. And what the law requires only for them to file those academies with us. Now, you would want to see, like for football, it is FUFA to set its own standards. But I also want you to take note that sport is business. I would not want to think charging a fee by FUFA should be an issue of discussion, because it's just a commitment. And maybe you'd be telling me how much did they charge? Because I know even for federations who are applying to us by law, they're required to pay certain fees, which is prescribed in the statutory instrument. And it's to support the cause of the administration of the registration processes. I know, for example, in National Council of Sports, we are able to send our team all over Uganda. I think the first group that they went to 117 countries, districts. Then the next we have to again send them to cover the other part, because they had to validate information provided. And it's an expense. So we had not planned for those in our budget mainstream. But you want this exercise to succeed. So definitely, I think for federation associations charging, I may not have hard word for them, but maybe if it is too much, then we can discuss it. But they must show cause that they want to promote, and they set standards for the academies to be registered, recognized, and supported. As a government, we want to see that academies become the bedrock of talent identification and development across the federations. And if we see a federation without any plan for an academy development, then you know that that federation has so many questions. We also want consistencies and a process that we know this is where our talent identification processes start from, and it grows in ranks up to national level. Time will come when government will come in and start looking at supporting even the leagues to be strong, clubs to be strong. As we talk now, we are looking at how do we as a country start supporting clubs, because our president, when we had the chance here, was very concerned in a very late discussion we had, and he said that he's not aware that football clubs are not being supported. Yet the players come from clubs.
Yes.
So he was saying, actually, the money we are giving to the football, what should be either added or part of it given to support. Because see, the value is that clubs take responsibility. But as we look at one sport, we want for all other sports. Because players are made by clubs, club-owned players, but what kind of support do we directly provide? But before even you reach there, we want to see where do they tap this from. Is it from the school system? What are what we call player development and profiling? How do we do it? Because professionally, you learn that we have not been doing things in a very programmed manner. And that's why a good player comes tomorrow, you're going to watch the football. Those days, we say Coca-Cola. The player is voted MVP. 1 year down the road, 2 years, you cannot trace a player. These are issues that we have already studied. So that is my point on the issue of academies. That's for purpose of emphasis.
Before you
the other aspect.
No, before you leave it, they don't just pay to FUFA. They're also supposed to pay to NCS. Maybe you can clarify that.
Yes. Oh, yes, the law provides. The law provides, but we have not established some of those issues. But when you want now, the law prescribes what you should pay to national council. It's in the law. It's in the schedule. So I only need to look at how much, if it is there. But the law has already set it.
It's between 1 to 3 million.
Yes. So the other issue you raised, which I want to talk about, is on the strategy, the planning. When I was in the A-level, I did economics among some of my papers. But my lecturer used to say, if you don't plan, then you plan to fail.
Yeah.
So in the modern era, and especially in the football administrations, basketball, all these sports, there must be planning. Therefore, one of our thoughts, and that's why in the government today it has become mandatory, that all the MDAs must have an approved strategic development plan. Without that, even the government will stop money from being sent to you. Because planning is a benchmark, it's a bedrock. So one of the issues, maybe I want to help you, is that failure to plan is the reason for why we have not been moving forward. So there is all effort that we want to urge our sports administrators at all grades to value planning, and planning in a way that it embraces what we call the national planning strategy. It's not just planning for what you think you will do. And I can tell you we are going to set very clear parameters that will dictate on the funding of government to some extent to certain activities. Like we say, talent identification and development. We say out of the money government is giving, this percentage must go here. And part of the work we will be able to undertake is to determine and see that you have utilized the money for TID. Support for improving governance, we want to see a quantum for that purpose. For support to national teams. And the other aspect is the welfare of the national team players, which now has become a big debate. Even when we give money, there are issues. Today I was very much challenged in the office I went to. But I will leave it for another day. Because the person who was talking to me was the authority of government, and he had observed this. That some of these federations take team players out, they know the weather situation there is winter, they don't buy those jackets, and he was giving me references. I was really humble. This high-profile person. But the money has been provided. Somehow, planning. So when you have a major tournament, there's so many things that we need to take note of. So that one I can tell you, we are in for it. And it's going to be a strategically done. The other issues you raise on Hoima, you talk about accommodation still. But I want to say that I have statistics and data from Hoima. We did a survey, and 2,500 beds are available in Hoima City. But the grade of the hotel does not meet the CAF requirement.
Yeah.
And that's why in our recommendations, we have brought forward the issue of upgrading. And the hotel owner said, we are willing. Support us, give us soft ones. And that's why they made the plea directly of the president. And that's why the prime minister was tasked to do that. And I can assure you, that is going to happen. Now that the permanent secretary of our ministry has tasked the chair of the infrastructure committee to coordinate, and I could see his speed is very good. And it would help to mobilize and see that the interministerial arrangements are supported. And I can assure you, yes, for now, all of us are worried. But from what we are doing now, I see a lot of hope. And by close of business, by the end of this year, perhaps you will be attending some of the grand opening or commissioning some of these facilities. When you come to Masindi, there's that YK hotel for Balam. It only requires, in the document I have, only 4.6 billion. It's about to be completed, and it's a massive hotel. I don't know whether you have been to Oima, to Masindi. That is already a tick box. When I go to HB Hotel, I go to Mika, I go to Kabalega, I told you, I have been sleeping in Kabalega when I go. If you go there beyond, it's putting massive structures. So what we need now is for the Uganda Tourism Board, who does the rating and the grading with the Uganda hotel owners, to give us the hope that they will meet certain standards. So what we are recommending now, for them to help them with the standards, so that the grades are internationally recognized. Okay. But the effort of government mobilizing resources, I can promise you, I'm aware that Uganda Development Bank is Africa Development Bank is being consulted. And I think today the ministers at the meeting, I may not talk for that, already with the management to see that whatever has not yet been done, the corridors are created for the various hotel owners to walk in and negotiate their deal. Okay. So that one is nothing. Then the other last one you talk about was on
the hash tones, undertones about Hoima and a few things.
Yes, that one I can answer you very well. First of all, when CAF was here, like they do for all competitions organized, even World Cup qualifiers, before competitions are held in any country, CAF always will send their
inspectors.
Technical, what they call them inspectors. Yeah. And they'll tell you, please, here improve this, here improve this, which is a normal thing. I want to say, from what I have, I'm talking now as a client of the project.
Yeah.
What I have were 5 issues raised, only 5, and I will explain it. Number 1 issue, CAF inspectors noted that whereas the parking yard was well marked and demarcated, the first issue they raised was that there was no provision made specifically for the buses, for the teams that would be coming to the stadium. Yeah. So one of the requests was to align and ensure that some of the marks put there are aligned specifically for the buses. Yeah. That's not fundamental, in my opinion. Even if Chaze can go and do that work tomorrow. Yes, you will just direct this painter, go and help me handle that.
This man does everything, so.
Yes, I always refer to him. He's my good friend. The second aspect is there is the issues of the access of the media. You know, when you go to Hoima from the VIP section, on the extreme end, you have a specific access gate. That takes you, but when you reach up there in the lift, you can also go to VIP section. They are saying, no, you limit the media not to have direct access. Through the so yes, that's a simple control. I don't want to bring like board and I put a board here and say, you go straight, don't pass here. It's a simple thing. Okay. Then the other one is in the VIP lounge. VIP lounge. They said the VIP lounge is very spacious. Unlike what is in the social media, that is small. That is too spacious, so they need more cameras. CCTV surveillance cameras to be put so that they are able to monitor from every angle anything happening, because it is what? Big. Okay. And it's a very important area because people who are there will be presidents, ministers, big people. Okay? Which to us is not a very big deal. It's not fundamental. Yeah. The other one, in the media tribune, they said the media should not be given access direct from there to the VIP lounge. And when you go there, you find when you enter, I'm now demonstrating because I know that I know how it is structured. Where you sit, especially the ones who do the commentating, they can easily walk to the VIP. They're saying you block that so that they are not interfered with. You just block it so that they don't have direct access to come this side of the VIP. To me, it's not fundamental. Yeah. Then the other last one was in the media tribune. that they want it, actually the two remaining, the Media Tribune should have at least 120 people. You have been there.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the media center, but Media Tribune, where you sit up there. Let's expand to accommodate at least 120. But I want to say, when the CAF guidelines was provided to us, they specified the requirements, and this is what the contractor did. But we are not saying it's difficult, because it's just about killing some seats there and saying this is dedicated for. So you extend and say this is dedicated for additional media people, and then you just gazette it. You extend that thing which is put there in front, and you count the seats. To us, not fundamental. The last one is on the mixed zone. That is in the competition area. Now, the design of the mixed zone, if you look at it critically, it has provision for interviews by the media. So when you come from this side, you can easily talk to a player, whether after the match or before, and they match straight to the competition area. So they're saying you remove it. But we're saying you told us, and you gave us what? The requirements, and this is a FIFA standard. So there's no big debate. And I can tell you, those are the only things. So when I read the people talking so much, now that's where the politics of the game comes in. And I can tell you, when we trace the first message we saw was through the website of Sekafa. We traced it. So when we realized, okay, it's coming from, what is it? And the people behind it, we got to know. I can tell you this origin started from West Africa, or maybe those countries down there. And some of our people here maybe bought in, because for them, they don't want to see good things for their country. And that they're posting unnecessary things. That's why the president said that you cannot buy somebody to be patriotic. So those people are also there in our communities. They don't love their country. Everybody is all praises. We have brought, like recently, last week, we had a team for African Union Commission here to evaluate. They could not imagine that is a facility in Uganda. They said, we never expected to see this in Africa and in Uganda, this facility. And these are people not Ugandans. They are coming here for the first time. But they comment, some of you recorded them. So definitely, I know sports are so many people of different fronts. There are people who want to see success, want to see good things for their country, and they're excited with what is happening. But there are those ones who are not happy. Even when we say government is doing it right, for them, government has done nothing. Never. You can't force them to celebrate with us the successes we are registering. But by and large, we are doing very well.
That clarification was very important.
No, but I want to say here again, and my minister made a statement about it. I watched him on NBS. He said he is the one who invited the CAF here. He's waiting for the report. And I know, if I follow his comments, he emphasized that once CAF has provided the report, he will inform Ugandans. So let's wait for the moment. But preliminary, as a client, this is what my project manager of the Oyema City Stadium. The last one I want to comment is that the term of reference, what we call employer's requirement for Oyema City Stadium, we had the provision for defect liability period. That in any case, in this period, the next 12 months after the handover, we want to adjust anything or anything need to be corrected. The contractor is at liberty to do, and they have resident technical people on the ground. So it's a matter of raising this matter, and we have already provided them. They are only waiting for the final report.
From CAF.
We expect it this week. Okay. And I don't think anybody will have another thing to talk about Oyema. So you should be celebrating what you went and saw physically.
No, that's the CAF.
So in my opinion, and by the way, for us, we are after quality. We are after value for money. We are after the time we need this project on. Those are our parameters. So I don't want to say that you have not raised fundamental issues. You have raised them. But the question is CAF happy with what we are doing? On one end, CAF is very happy. That's why the president of CAF came and made an announcement. Remember, for those ones who were in the corridor, in Dar es Salaam, I was not there. there were a lot of corridor talks, meaning that somebody was moving left and right to confuse people, to tell them the other story. So we're happy that the president of CAF, who is the principal, actually made it clear. East Africa, under Pamoja, will host. Whether anybody in Uganda here wants it or not, we are going to host.
Okay.
Because so long as we provide what CAF wants. That's the fact.
Doctor, we have a few minutes left so that we can let you go and rest considering.
I needed 1 hour, but it's okay.
But I don't want us to lose you before we speak about what you presented before Parliament just a couple of weeks ago. The budget amounting to 1.5 trillion Uganda shillings. If you can take us through that, and I know one of the gentlemen is going to pick up from there about everything else that we did see. But take us through what you presented before the committee.
I think that our budget was not 1.5, it's 1.8 actually, trillion. But I think I would not want to go back to the budget so much. What I would only want to say is that we have presented our budget framework paper in line with the government requirement under second budget call circular, which was adopted by the committee responsible, that is Committee for Education and Sports, who have the mandate on behalf of the House, that is Parliament of Uganda, to look at what we have presented and recommend to other relevant committee, which is budget committee, before. I am not privy to the national budget framework paper. So I may not be the right person to make comments at this stage. But what is clear, we are now preparing what we call ministerial policy statement. And at that point, I would be glad you invite me here to now tell you what the government of Uganda and National Council of Sports has in offer for us for the next financial year. Because I may be doing certain things prejudicial to what I'm expected to do. Because the other process require what we call a code agenda, where government gets money and now asks the votes to identify with the areas they think should be included in national budget. So if I say here, you know, we fight for the national cake. Yeah. Somebody will say, now you have said this. They will go and maybe do something to my... Yes. So I don't want to lit the candle now, but I will come back. Okay. And I know you'll give me the opportunity.
We definitely will.
But we are very happy with what government is doing for us. Parliament of Uganda, the support they have offered. The Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament has been very deliberate to support sports. And the entire team there, the members of Parliament. No wonder they have been with us in all the sports festivals, celebrating every single success stories. Okay. And of course, with #1 fan, the President, and our senior minister and the state minister. Okay. They have done it all. We have never seen commitment of government than this time. We dine in State House every time. And we talk about sports.
You are alone.
Not at all. All of us. So that courtesy, I can go back and give you the time schedules. Okay. So we are at liberty to go and knock and the door is open, unlike in the past, which was very difficult. Okay. So the ground is level, and I think for the benefit of all of us, I also want to say at this point, because when I say when you are hearing, you will be happy, that we are very excited with what you do for sport development. You, the media, NTV, Sport Night, and all others. My colleague Clive always invite me some other place.
Clive's your colleague?
The good, no, he's a very good friend of mine. We have never clashed, by the way. So I want to say that we are very happy with what our media personalities, and through this show, you always bring to the public. Okay. The good thing that has also shaped the destiny of our sport development agenda.
Doctor, as you leave, are we bidding for the host the World Cup?
I think, for your information, we are not bidding for the World Cup. Oh, okay. The permanent secretary, corrected that. Okay. I think the media just picked the other part, but she corrected. She meant the African Games, 2031. It was corrected. I was wondering where the other one was coming from. You know, they like negative things. But by and large, we are very committed to what we do. So thank you very much, and may God bless NTV Spotlight.
Thank you very much, Doctor. And thank you so much for always accepting our requests every time we reach out to have you on the show. And considering the times we are in, you can be certain we have to be friends all through, not just now, but we'll keep checking on you all through, considering your tight schedule, but also the amount of work on your desk.
I can assure you, you're all welcome. And even Emanzi. He's a part of me, but he's a rare man. He's a rare man. Andrew knows my office. He comes once in a while. Even today, he said he peeped to find out whether I was in town. I said, I'm still inside working up to 8 p.m.
Okay.
So I said, this is what we chose to do for the country.
Okay.
So we're happy for this together. We make our country great.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Dr. Bernard Ogwel, the General Secretary of the National Council of Sports. And on that note, we'll take a very short break. When we do return, we'll be taking some of the feedback regarding our poll questions, and then we'll get into the most loved segment of the show, which is predictions. Remember, we are proudly powered by Guinness.